Okay, so I just got done watching the Super Bowl from last night, Super Bowl 57. The Kansas City Chiefs are once again champions, Super Bowl champions. I tried to watch this as much as I could when I was at work. Once again, had to be at work while a big time football game was going on, and it was slow enough to where I could kind of keep my eye to it. So let's just go ahead and talk about the pass interference that happened at the end of the game. Kansas City Chiefs are driving down the field once again to put themselves in scoring position, trying to milk the clock out and not give Philly a chance to come back and have one final drive on their possession. So Patrick Mahomes tries to throw it to Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, I didn't really see the play in action time because I was, working and doing something else. But I saw the replay, but I wasn't able to still get a full look at the play. And this morning, before I sat down to watch the game, tuned into ESPN, and they were replaying it over and over again, talking about it, yelling about it, like they always do when something like this happens. In today's terms, or in today's rules, it was a flag. Okay, because you can't really touch anybody nowadays. I mean, you can't really get too physical with the receivers. You can't really get too physical. Definitely can't get too physical with the quarterbacks. I mean, look at all these stupid roughing the passer penalties that happened this past season. Physicality in sports is just dead for the most part. It's just dead. So Juju is trying to run a whip route, and he's going as if he's going to the inside of the field, but he stops his momentum and cuts back out to the outside. James Bradbury gets a piece of his jersey. He did hold him. There was some contact, but me personally, I don't think that it was enough to stop his momentum completely. And not only that, even if he didn't get a hold of his jersey, I don't know if Patrick Mahomes still makes that pass because Josh Sweat is barreling down on him, and the pocket was collapsing pretty quickly. I think that freaked Patrick Mahomes out a little bit to get the ball out of his hands quickly as possible and not afford a sack to potentially knock them out of field goal range. So it was a flag. By today's standards, back in the day, that's not a holding call at all. Yeah, unfortunately, the referees play yet another hand in a big time game like this, and now people are talking about the call should have been blown, should have not been blown. You got fans from the Eagles side saying it was a BS call, of course, and then of course you got fans from the Chiefs side saying it was not a call and there should have been holding calls all throughout the game and all night, right? And then of course you got the fans who think the NFL is rigged. That's going to look at the Chiefs Super Bowl run, look at that Cincinnati game, and then look at this game. The NFL wanted the Chiefs to win. They wanted Andy Reid to stick it to his old franchise that he coached for so many years and get another Super Bowl title against his former team, right? So I think that is going to be most of the talk rather than is Patrick Mahomes the greatest of all time now, and I'll kind of get into that a little bit later. Are the Chiefs a new dynasty? The last time there was talk about the Chiefs being a new dynasty, they got smashed by Tampa the following season and only scored 9 points. I'm just so sick of the hype that these teams and these players get so damn quickly. I think it's more frustrating when these calls happen when there's no consistency throughout the game. James Bradbury got away with a call against Juju earlier in the game, but they didn't call it. But then you call a flag like that at a crucial moment in the game with everything on the line, with a chance to be champions. You call a holding call on that type of foul. I think that's the frustrating part. You want to see more consistency out of these referees and when they make these types of calls. Yes, I think it was a penalty by today's standards. Should they have still thrown the flag? Not really, because I don't know. Because I don't think he really does enough to stop Juju's momentum. I don't think that Juju is going to still have a chance of making that catch because Josh Sweat is right in Mahomes' face, and that pocket is collapsing really quick on him. But whatever, it is what it is. But let's talk about the game, the actual game itself. I've seen games like this plenty of times. Team comes out, kind of dominates the first half, and then in the second half, the team that was dominating gets dominated. Going into this game, I thought that it would simply come down to who can dominate at the line of scrimmage, and I felt Philly had the advantage in that department. Whenever there was a passing situation for Philly, 2nd and 8, especially on third downs, third and 9s, 3rd and 14s, 3rd and 8s, Kansas City could not get to Jalen Hurts, and whenever they did have a shot at Jalen, he would make a play with his legs and be able to get out of trouble and take advantage of the bad pursuit angles that the Chiefs were having. I didn't think the Chiefs pass rush did a very good job of affecting the game and getting Philly out of rhythm. But I did think that the Chiefs did a pretty good job of keeping Philly's running attack in check. Let's see, even though Philly only had 115 yards on the ground, a lot of that was because of Jalen Hurts' legs and the run designs that were made for him. He had 15 rushing attempts and 70 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell were pretty quiet. Kenneth Gainwell had 7 attempts, so did Miles Sanders. Kenneth had 21 rushing yards. Miles had 16 rushing yards. And Boston Scott only had 3 rushing attempts and 8 yards. And I thought that was going to be huge for the Chiefs going into this game. Like, they had to keep Philadelphia's running attack in check. If they weren't, then this was going to be a complete domination, especially with the way the game started out, with Philly scoring and then the Chiefs would respond, and then Philly scoring again and then the Chiefs responding again. It felt like the Chiefs couldn't really catch Philadelphia. Those run design plays for Jalen Hurts was a real problem for the Chiefs defense. Even though the Chiefs are capable of putting up points and they have a very talented offense, obviously, it just felt as if Kansas City were going to get into a shootout with Philly. They wasn't going to be able to keep up. And the Chiefs play like they are designed to stop the run. Like, they constantly have 3 linebackers in the box. So they play like they're designed to stop the running attack and keep teams one-dimensional. But in the first half, the offensive line and the defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles were having major success. They were creating running lanes for Jalen Hurts. They were giving Jalen Hurts time in the pocket to allow him to hit on those big home run plays that he had. He had one unbelievable touchdown to A.J. Brown in the first half. But in the second half, things just changed. All of a sudden, Kansas City was beating up Philly at the line of scrimmage. I mean, their first drive, Isaiah Pacheco had a 7-yard run. Then he had a 2-yard run. Jerick McKinnon had a 14-yard run. Jerick McKinnon ran it up the middle for 7 yards. Then Patrick Mahomes scrambles for 14 yards. And then Isaiah Pacheco runs for 1-yard touchdown. So they beat them up. They punched them in the mouth from the jump in the second half. And they were able to negate Philadelphia's pass rush by getting the ball out quick to Juju Smith-Schuster. He was pretty quiet in the first half. Travis Kelce was the one that was making the noise in the first half when it came to the passing attack for the Chiefs. And I thought that going into this game, Philadelphia should have constantly had someone on Kelce. Try to take Kelce out. Try to knock him off his route. Try to get physical with him as much as you can, even though the refs probably would have threw a lot of flags if they did try to get physical with Kelce. But yeah, try to take him out of the game and have these other receivers like Juju Smith-Schuster and Valdez-Scantling, Kadarius Toney beat you and make plays. The Chiefs had some play designs where they had running backs coming out of the backfield and would draw Philly's attention and then allow Juju Smith-Schuster to get behind them, allow Patrick Mahomes to complete a nice little chunk play. The Chiefs' last 2 scoring drives, they hit Philly with the same play. Kadarius Toney is faking like he's going to the left, like he's going to run across the middle of the field, but then he stops his route and goes back to the right. Everybody has their attention on Travis Kelce. He's wide open, and then they do the same thing with Sky Moore. So I thought that was kind of embarrassing. I didn't know what the coaching staff for Philadelphia was thinking. I didn't know what the players were thinking. I didn't think, as talented as this defense is, even though they didn't play like it in the second half, I didn't think that they would get beat by the same play twice on 2 scoring drives. And not only that, Philadelphia allows Kadarius Toney to run for a 65-yard punt return. So Philly screwed up on special team as well in the second half. So it was just a complete meltdown for the most part for Philly defensively. And they had that big blunder on special teams, which allowed Kansas City to get right back into the red zone so quickly. And you can't do that. You can't give a team like Kansas City those types of opportunities. Patrick Mahomes, 21 for 27, 182 yards, had 3 touchdowns, had 6 rushing attempts for 44 yards. I'm sure he's the new GOAT now. The GOAT has no meaning whatsoever anymore. Like, it used to stand for something. Like, it used to players who rightfully earned that title would be considered the greatest of all time. Players, athletes, they would do something absolutely remarkable, Nowadays, it seems like all you got to do is have a good season, put up some stats, or do something that other people like. Marcus Mariota, Mariota, right? That was so stupid. I'll never let that go. Mariota, yeah, okay. Your GOAT left town when he got benched for Desmond Ridder. But Patrick Mahomes was good. Andy Reid designed a very good game plan, allowing him to get the ball out of his hands quickly and allowing Juju Smith to get wide open and complete some easy receptions. Isaiah Pacheco, 15 rushing attempts, 76 yards. He had 1 touchdown. He was phenomenal. I thought it was great. He ran the ball extremely hard. He's a tough runner. Sky Moore had that 1 touchdown pass completed to him. Travis Kelce, 6 targets, 6 receptions, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. Juju Smith, 9 targets, 7 receptions, 53 yards, and everyone else was pretty quiet. I thought the defense for Kansas City played well when it came to, like I said, when it came to stopping or holding the Philadelphia Eagles rushing attack in check. Nick Bolton, he had that fumble recovery and ran it back for a touchdown. I thought he was pretty good. Kansas City Chiefs linebackers did a good job of tackling in open space in the second half. Leo Chanel, he had a sack, and Kennell Sanders, he had a sack. Chris Jones wasn't too much of a factor, and I said it in my preview for the Chiefs that if the defense was going to have a chance of getting after Jalen Hurts and slowing down that Eagles offense, he was going to have a big game. Well, he didn't, but the Chiefs did just enough to secure a victory. Jalen Hurts, 27 for 38, 304 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 15 rushing attempts, 70 yards, and 3 touchdowns. By far his best performance in the Super Bowl run. I thought he outplayed Mahomes, in my opinion. See, that's what I'm talking about. If you're the GOAT, you can't get outplayed by the opposing quarterback who lost. Even though I like Mahomes and I think he is the best quarterback in the league, I don't think he's the greatest of all time. He still has a lot of work to do. He didn't play too well in his last Super Bowl appearance, even though you got to give credit to Tampa Bay's defense and that coaching staff for developing a good game plan to stop that offense. And he didn't play well in the second half in the AFC Championship game against Cincinnati. So if you're the GOAT, you can't have performances like that. To me, if you're the greatest of all time, you have to have performances that are basically flawless, okay? Performances that people can look back on and say, he was unstoppable. No one could stop him. He did everything right. That's one of the, but whatever. Look, I read the stats for the running backs. Devontae Smith, 9 targets, 7 receptions, 100 yards. A.J. Brown, 8 targets, 6 receptions, 96 yards. He had 1 touchdown. Dallas Goedert, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 60 yards total. The defense for Philly at the worst time of the season let them down. So this season is over. Hallelujah. I love making these videos. I love watching these games, but at a certain point, this shit can get draining and tiring. And oh my gosh. So we'll see what happens. Oh, Jesus. It's a good stretch. So we'll see what happens during the off season. We're going to talk about trades and free agent signings and draft picks. And then once that's over, people are going to talk about, this team winning a championship and this division being the greatest division going into next season and making all these stupid, bold predictions. Please like and subscribe. That is it. And I am out.